Hello, my name is Dafna. I'm a master student in the Mindful Learning Technology Lab, led by Dr. Rinat Rozhenberg-קימה, which is also my supervisor. And in this video, I'm going to talk about my study, students' attitudes towards social robots as learning companions for online courses. So today, many students participate in MOOCs, massive online open courses, as a way to keep up with changes and advances in technology. But what we've seen in recent times, also a similar transition into academic courses that are done in an online manner due to COVID-19 quarantines. And in this situation, many students are forced to study alone from their homes without face-to-face social interaction. This could lead to a sense of loneliness and lack of motivation in school, and which also reflects on the completion rate. In leading MOOCs, in leading courses, there is below 6% completion rate in recent years. We believe that a way that can possibly solve this problem is through social robots. Social robots are designed to interact and communicate with humans, and they can potentially assist online learners by creating a motivating social interaction that will overcome this challenge. So what we did in this study was to explore students' attitudes towards social robots as learning companions for online courses. We did this by using an online survey containing a video, and actually we designed different robot behaviors and we tested them through these videos. So first of all, what are social robots? As you can see here, there are many types of robots, something that you can call a robot. There is not one very clear definition. You have industrial robots, you have the iRobot, for example, that you might have in your home. An autonomous car can also be conceived as considered as a robot, but social robots are actually quite unique. Social robots are physically embodied robots that can interact and communicate with humans using social interaction. So you can see in this picture a few examples of social robots, and they could have many uses. They can be used as a toy, they can be used to relieve loneliness for the elderly, they can be used as assistants, and they can also be used in education. But the main thing is that they are interacting with humans, they are not replacing humans in their job like industrial robots, for example. So usually when we talk about social robots in education, we talk about four main roles that the social robots could act as. They can act as the teachers, so they could teach the material themselves. They can act as a tutor or assistant for the teacher. They can act as peers, so they could be the same level of knowledge and experience as the student. And they can also be a novice students themselves, meaning that the learner would have to teach them something, and in this way he will learn by himself. And there is an additional definition, which is a learning companion, and is used in many studies that are talking about social robots. And a learning companion, again, doesn't have one definition. It keeps changing with what the researchers are deciding to do, but mostly a learning companion is to support the process of learning, usually by creating encouragement and increasing motivation. So you can see here a few examples of studies that use social robots in education. In number one, a research done by Dr. Rozenberg-קימה, you can see now as a group facilitator for students. So one of the things the students liked about this was that the robot was not judgmental. So you can ask the robot as many questions that you like without being afraid to be perceived as someone who doesn't know the material. In number two, you can see now used as an English teaching assistant for junior high school, for junior high students. This was done in Tehran. And also, these students said that the robot decreased the sense of anxiety when they had to speak English in front of the teacher, in front of the classroom. And in number three, you can see RoboV teaches English to first grade pupils in Japan. So this was actually quite a long time ago, this research, but even then they took this robot and they put it in first grade school for pupils to interact with, and the robot also recorded information about the students, about the pupils, so it can remember their name. And it was very interesting. You can see how different cultures relate differently to robots and in general sense of privacy. Here are more examples where in number 1 you can see iCat, the robot teaching young children how to play chess. In number 2 you can see again now a robot. In this study, he used a supporter for the child to improve her handwriting while she was teaching him how to write. So here the robot played the role of a student himself. In number 3 you can see this little cute robot keep-on tutoring an adult in a puzzle game. Adults are very rare in general in studies relating to social robots. Most of the researches are done on children. And in number 4 you can see Pepper Robot, again a robot taking on the role of the students. And in this study the Japanese children had to teach the robot English words in order for them to learn by themselves. So a question that keeps coming up when people talk about robots is why not just use a screen? If we're talking about a learning companion, a motivating learning companion, the screen could maybe act just as well. So this was also shown in a study by Reeves and Nass, which talked about the media equation, where people tend to treat non-human media in a similar way they treat humans. So this could be even TV, films, computers, and robots. So this question is a legitimate question. However, studies did show that the physical presence, the physical embodiment of the robot does present an advantage because they're closer to the student. People respond more favorably to a robot than a virtual agent or to a screen. They find the robot more persuasive, more engaging, and their attitude is significantly more positive towards a social robot than a screen. There has also been past studies which explored the personality or behavior of the robot in order to examine which is the best to interact with when we're talking about learning outcomes or learning engagement. So in number 1, you can see again iCat, and in this study made by Sarabek, you can see that they changed the level of social supportiveness in order to teach 10 to 11-year-old children the Takipana language, and they did find that the more the robot was more social responsive, the children did have better engagement in learning and even better learning outcomes. And in number 2, even prior to social robots, this was done in virtual agents, and you can see it in this research where they use different roles like an expert, motivator, or mentor to increase students' motivation and learning outcomes, and they find that the motivator role was the best out of the 3. So in this study, we chose to use the self-determination theory, SDT, of Ryan and Deci, as a basis for the social robot's behavior. And this is because SDT has been shown to improve results in online learning, and supplying all 3 needs of intrinsic motivation, autonomy, competence, and relatedness has shown a positive impact in an online learning environment. And also quite recently even, a novel design of a social robot, which was made for teaching Dutch children English words. It was based on the self-determination theory to supply the 3 needs, again, of autonomy, competence, and relatedness. And the results show that it might not have effective learning outcomes, but it did affect children learning engagement. So children were more engaged in this learning activity and wanted to learn more words when they interacted with robots that implemented all of the 3 needs. So our research goal was to first characterize and then design behavior of a social robot as a learning companion for students who participate in asynchronous online courses, meaning that they don't have any live interaction with the teacher or their peers. And of course, to explore the students' attitudes towards this behavior of a learning companion. And we decided to design multiple behaviors, as you see in a second, in order to see the difference. Our research questions was, what are the attitudes of students towards social robots as learning companions for online courses, and how are these attitudes affected by the robot's different behavior? Also, what are students looking for in a social robot as a learning companion? So we started by designing a motivating behavior based on the self-determination theory, where the sense of autonomy can be supported by maximizing the perception of having a choice. The sense of competence can be supported by providing appropriate feedback or positive feedback. to increase the feeling of being able to meet the challenges, and a sense of relatedness can be supported by promoting sense of connection and belonging. So what we did was design 4 behaviors. The autonomy behavior of the robot. The autonomy, in the autonomy condition, the robot provided choice option to promote the sense of autonomy. In the competence behavior, he provided positive feedback and encouragement to promote the sense of competence. And in the relatedness condition, he created an emotional connection with the student to promote the sense of relatedness. And finally, in the 4th behavior, the robot combined all the 3 behaviors together. So it provided autonomy, competence, and relatedness. So if we try to visualize it using emojis, so autonomy is the most neutral behavior. In competence, there is a friendliness where the robot does provide positive feedback and encouragement. And in relatedness, the robot is super friendly, is calling the student by his name, is saying we instead of you or instead of I, to create a really sense that him and the students are in the same boat together. So we took those behaviors, we embedded them, we programmed them and embedded them in the humanoid robot now. And we filmed 5 videos, which were our 5 conditions of the study. One video didn't contain any robots. It was a student learning in an online course. This was an actor, which played the same in all the videos. And also we edited so the reaction will be the same in all the videos to control this. Besides the video without a robot, we filmed 4 videos with robots. Each video contained the different behavior we designed. So let's see a few examples. And welcome to week number 5 of our course, Introduction to Computer Science.
It seems like the answer is wrong. Do you need some more time to think about the question, or would you prefer to watch the video again?
I need some more time to think about it.
Okay. It seems like the answer is wrong, but I know you can do it. You just need some more time to think about it. Oops, I think we got this question wrong, but that's okay. Let's try again. Oops, I think we got this question wrong, but that's okay. I know you can do it. Do you need some more time to think about the question, or should we watch the video again?
I need some more time to think about it.
Okay. Let me know if you need any assistance. You totally got this, but if you need any assistance, let me know. I'm here for you, always by your side. You totally got this, but if you need my assistance, let me know. I'm here for you, always by your side.
We also constructed a questionnaire. The questionnaire created questions about the students' demographic and background, and we asked them about the intrinsic motivation of them while they're studying alone in an online, asynchronous online course. While studying with robots, this is what we asked after they watched the video. What would be their intrinsic motivation if they would study with a social robot? And we also thought it would be interesting to ask them about the person in the video, how they perceived his intrinsic motivation while he was interacting with a robot, or in the condition of the control where he wasn't interacting with the robot. We also asked them about the robot they saw in the video. What do they think are his attributes? We gave them a long list of attributes, and we asked them to rate, do these attributes relate to the robot that they saw. We also asked 2 open questions about now, what are his advantages in general and disadvantages? And we asked questions about social robots in general, whether they would accept social robots as learning companions, and what roles should social robots play, and what are the desired features and behaviors of a social robot they think should have. This was also an open question. So the participants were 185 students. They were participating in an introductory course to computer science in the Technion. And you can see here the results. They didn't have a lot of familiarity with robots, but they did have a very high interest in technology and also a medium-high view of social robots even before they watched the videos. Each participant was assigned to an online survey containing one of the 5 videos randomly. So again, we had 5 conditions. Each condition contained a different video: control, autonomy, competence, relatedness, and all. And each student got a survey containing one of these randomly. So our general results show that students believe that their sense of relatedness will be greater if they would study with a robot, and that was across all conditions, meaning that we asked them about their intrinsic motivation. This includes their relatedness part for when they're studying in an online course, and we asked them how will they feel, what will their sense of relatedness be if they would study with a robot, and it was bigger in all conditions. However, their sense of autonomy was reduced in all conditions with a robot. Even in the control condition, even when they didn't see a robot, they felt like they would lose a little bit of their sense of autonomy if they would study with a robot that is looking at them all the time. We also asked them, what do they think, what role should social robots act as learning companions? And you can see here that they thought that social robots should first act as a teaching assistant. That was the highest, and then only as a peer or a toy, and then only finally as a teacher. So the students are not looking at the robots as something that will replace teachers, not, I don't think, even in the far future. They look at it as something that will only assist their learning beside the teacher. Another interesting finding was when we asked about the person in the video. And the results show that the person in the video actually was perceived to have a higher sense of relatedness, competence, calmness, and overall intrinsic motivation in all the videos with the robot compared to the video without the robot. So even though the students might not have grasped that they themselves would have a higher sense of intrinsic motivation or competence or calmness, they did think when they saw the person in the video that while he was interacting with a robot, his sense of competence was higher than if he was studying alone. We also asked them, what do they think the robot now provides the person in the video? And you can see here that there are 3 significant things: time management support, motivation, and emotional support. And you can also see that it matches the different conditions. So the autonomy condition is the highest in the time management support. The competence condition matches the motivation, and the relatedness condition is the highest in the emotional support. This also correlates to the qualitative data that we had in this survey. So for example, this open question, what are the advantages of the social robot now as a learning companion? And we use a thematic analysis for the qualitative data. So we've gone over the student statements for these questions, and we found 4 principal categories: the robot actions, the robot effect on the learner, the robot's character, and the robot's technical features, which also divided into artificial intelligence and the design of the robot. So you can see here what are the main themes that emerged in these categories. So for the robot's actions, by far the most reoccurred theme was to provide guidance and also to provide encouragement. And other themes include providing feedback, pointing to mistakes, providing instructions or information, time management, and emotional support. The robot effect on the learner, the most common was increased focus or efficiency, and also to decrease loneliness. And another thing that was there was to increase motivation and confidence. And in the robot character, it was important for them or an advantage for them that the robot was professional, smart, or expert, but that it was also nice and amusing. But we also asked about the disadvantages of the robot, and we found interesting things, again, for these 4 categories. So the students found the robot to be very distracting or to decrease efficiency. And you can see here also maybe the reason why. If you go to the robot's artificial intelligence features, they thought it was over-responsive, meaning that it turned to them too many times, or it talked to them and they didn't like it. And also in the design features, that it makes too much noise, it had too much light or too much movement. Some of them were part of the design of the robot now that we couldn't control. So this was very distracting to them, and also they thought it was annoying. And also, even though in the previous advantages they thought it was smart, we can see also some students found that it was actually not smart and not expert, that it was not credible. So even when he said, I believe in you, or you can do it, they found that they don't believe him. And also some thought that it was childish. And in the AI features, students just stated that it wasn't human. You know, it can't fill the place of a human companion, and it can never will. Also that it has no real conversation ability, that you can't like interact, ask questions, and then he responds. And it has no emotional awareness. It doesn't know the state of the student. So these were very interesting findings, which leads to the final open question that we asked. If you would design a social robot as a learning companion, what features and or behaviors would you give the robot? So these things were really concluding all of the information that we saw. The students really want guidance from the robot. They want also encouragement to answer questions, and also to be sort of a timer to provide time management, but mostly to provide guidance. And they want the robot to be, on one hand, professional, smart, and expert, but on the other hand, to be nice, empathetic, and patient. So somewhere between maybe the competence and relatedness conditions. And they also, a lot of them wanted the robot to be amusing and not boring. In the robot's artificial intelligence features, again, it was important to have an adaptive ability, so the robot could adapt itself to the student's level, to have an emotional awareness to understand if the student is now focused or if it lost track of the lesson, to, again, not to be annoying, to not be overly responsive, to only approach when approached, and to have the ability to have customization, to change the character of the robot. Some would like it more cuter, some would like it more professional, so to have this ability to change it. And in the robot design features, many of them thought the robot's voice was annoying, it was too robotic, and they really wanted to have a more human-like voice. And also for the robot to be simple and small, they found the size a bit too intimidating and too big. And the students want the robot to affect on them in a way that it will increase focus or efficiency, which is, I think, the main problem in online courses, that it's very easy to distract yourself, to lose where you were in the lesson, because there are many other stimulation. So you want to something that will keep you focused. So to conclude, we saw in this study that there is a potential of using social robots as learning companions for online courses, and this can be done by creating a robot as a mentor for the student. So on one hand, to be nice, empathetic, and amusing, but on the other hand, to be smart, expert, and professional, not to be too much of either. To provide guidance and encouragement for the student, and also to increase motivation and maintain focus, which was very important for them. So if we look at the emojis again, we find that probably the best to match the student desires would be the one in the middle. So not too overly friendly, to have some sort of authority or someone to look up to, and so it could serve as a mentor, and not really neutral. It needs to have a personality, but also not to be over-friendly, because then it wouldn't be considered as something that is knowledgeable. We saw that the potential of using social robots could create a higher sense of relatedness, and that was in all the conditions. And we saw there's also importance of what examples are used when you're exploring something innovative as attitudes towards social robots, something that you don't really see a use to it in day-to-day life. You don't really know what it can do or how. So really the examples you're seeing in these surveys is what leading you. And it's important to give the proper examples when exploring attitudes towards these technologies. Our limitations were, of course, we explore the attitudes using videos and not through actual interaction. This was done by limitations of also the COVID. It was good to receive a big amount of data in a short time, but obviously to have a true attitude towards this new technology, you have to interact with it. Also, we used our interpretation of the self-determination theory. Some people might interpret it otherwise and create a different behavior based on it. We also used the robot now to explore the attitudes, but we could see that the physical design of the robot had an effect. It makes noise every time it begins to speak, and the lights turn on. So maybe it was better to use a more simple design robot when we're talking about adult students and not children. And we didn't have any comparison to a screen or again, a robot that is more simply designed. And this should definitely be done in future studies. And also, we tested it on students who we saw have positive attitudes towards social robots and a high interest in technologies. And like we saw in the beginning, different cultures have different attitudes towards technology. So the results here might not be the same as it is in other countries or other cultures. So a few recommendations. First, for designing social robots as learning companions for adults. First, using theory-based design. We saw here that using a theory and not just a life experience could really be beneficial for increasing motivation or for increasing self-regulation. And this is something that maybe should be done in the future more. Also, user-based design. We saw how the robot that we use probably wasn't the correct match for the age or the needs or functionality of what the students need. Also, the debate of whether the robot should be more robot-like or human-like, it all depends on what user we're talking about. Customization, every student is different and have different things that they want in a robot, so customization is very important. Less is more. We saw that in the condition of the all conditions combined, it really didn't provide better results, and it's probably better to focus on something specific like the mentor than to have everything together, because then it could be overwhelming. Artificial intelligence capabilities. So this relates to the advances in technology that are still not made but should be done. Emotional awareness to the robot should sense the state of the student. It should have adaptability to adapt itself, and it should have a conversation. It should talk like a human. And also, we talked about it a little bit, but in sense of privacy, this could relate to the decreased sense of autonomy, the lack of privacy that they felt with the robot. So maybe add an option to not use the camera, or a lot of things that we see today that are privacy centered. So maybe add this feature as well. And for future research, it should definitely include real interaction with the robot. It should implement a mentor behavior that we saw what was the most that the student were looking for, a simple design, and it should measure the learning outcomes or engagement probably over time. to see if it's not just a novel effect. And it should also probably have a comparison to a screen, so it could justify the use of physical robots and not and instead of just using a screen. So I would like to thank my wonderful, wonderful advisor, to Rinat. You truly helped me in every way that an advisor could help, and not only professional, but personal, and all your wonderful creative ideas. It was truly inspiring doing this with you. To the Dean, Professor Talital, and Professor Yuditori, many thanks. And also to the people who have helped with the progress of the study, to Assistant Professor Arigero and Associate Professor Ayelet Baran-Tzabari, and the entire faculty staff, of course. To all my friends in the Mindful Learning Technology group for their great advices. To my peers and friends in the faculty. It was very interesting to spend these 2 years with you, half of them in real life interaction and half of them remotely. To the one and only Shikma, really, without you, I don't know what we would have done. You're the beating heart and soul of this faculty, so thank you for all your help. And of course, to my dear family, and especially for the actor in the video that really helped me make this study come to life. So thank you all.